And I'm Allison, and today we're dishing to you from 523 8th Street Southeast and the fabulous Ambar.
That's right, this is the only Balkan restaurant in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's right here in Barracks Row.
Now there's so many Balkan-themed specialties here on the table, I'm going to run through them pretty quickly. First, you have a goat cheese and beet salad. Then you've got to go with some calamari. Grilled calamari is a specialty here. Balkan breads and spreads. They're so delicious. They're just mouth-watering. Then the Balkan salad. Now this one's a favorite of Tom Sietsma. He has been raving about it. Then you'll want to have some kebabs. They're a specialty of the Balkans. And of course, the biggest specialty of all, why you absolutely have to come here, the rakia. It's a specialty drink from the Balkans, and if you haven't tried it, they've got so many different varieties here.
Hot.
Cheers.
Salute.
I'll have bacon wrapped dates. And our guest today is Quin Woodward. She is a two-time author, and she's here to talk about her newest book. I was going to call it a novel, but we'll get to that in a second. The newest book, Digfast, which is actually an acronym for what med students do. So let's start there.
Yes. Digfast is a medical mnemonic that medical students use to remember patients with hypomania. So it stands
which is something I'm convinced I have. Do I have that? I don't know. Are you telling me I have that?
Are we that?
I think possibly a little bit of hypomania around, especially in DC. I think it's largely undiagnosed. The only reason I ever encountered it is because my sister was visiting and working at GW. She's a doctor now. She was doing her just a month rotation to see if she wanted to be in DC. And she and her roommate both met me and were like, well, of course my sisters know me. My sister's friend was like, this is a little extreme, your personality. If you ever been told you have hypomania? And then my sister was like, oh yeah, I guess that's like probably the case, but you know, it's my sister, she's known me forever.
What is hypomania? Because we all are now convinced
now
we have
we
it.
No, right away.
Does it have itches? Because I'm starting to get itchy.
I actually covered the story of when I was told I had it. I was like, wait, am I going to die? Like exactly like that. So hypomania literally means just below mania. Mania being obviously part of part of a bipolar. What people associate with bipolar being manic and then depressive. So hypomania is just basically a constantly elevated state of mind, which is where I operate, and
we have this.
Yes, definitely. And it stands for distractibility, irritability, grandiosity, flight of ideas, activity increase, sleeplessness, and talkativeness. So
yes, my husband's now like,
oh, don't worry, you're in good company. There's a lot of famous hypomanics like Alexander the Great. Probably Donald Trump is one. There's usually large.
So that's what the book is about, though, right?
What I think is important to get across here is that these are both memoirs in a way,
correct.
Right?
They are both memoirs. Yes.
So it's called Digfast, and it has that term because it's about you.
Right. These are both memoirs written in first person. And
you're not particularly old, and you've written 2 memoirs already. I think we should talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
It's the manic part of it.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Why a memoir at such a young age and now 2?
So this is the funniest thing. I get asked this. It's the most common. Actually, the most common question is, "Am I in your next book?" But that's not this one. Everyone thinks, I'm 25. They're like, "What do you even have to write about in your life?" My favorite book in the world is USC. It's written by James Joyce. I've probably read that dozens of times. The span of that story is in one day, and it's one of the most famous and most hailed modern novels. I don't think that time particularly is a limiting factor for me, because there's so much, and that's not just me, that's anyone. There's so many layers of richness to everyone's story. So I wrote my first book when I was 23. This is, I'm now 25, it's my second book. And I am optimistic that I will be able to keep writing just forever and ever, because it's what I love doing. And there's so much that I cover in my books of my early life, of my family. My parents' stories are very interesting as well, of my friends' stories, that you can
local gossip?
Exactly.
Local gossip?
I had to be a little careful. Type A Plus is mostly about Vanderbilt, where I graduated and I got the heck out of town. Digfast is all about DC. I'm here for
give us some tidbits. Give us some juice.
You are planning to stay, even though you wrote some. Goodness knows what you wrote about DC. You're planning to stay.
Yes, I am planning to stay. Kate, you're mentioned in it because you are one of the first people.
Yeah, now I'm going to have
What
to.
page?
It's actually in the very beginning because I first met you at Sweet Charity.
Oh,
The
right,
first
I'm wearing
event I ever
chocolate.
went to.
Wearing a chocolate ball
And-
gown.
Wearing chocolate.
This tall girl who needs to eat a cheeseburger is covered in chocolate. Something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. No, it was friendly because I like
friendly.
you. So,
Okay, good. She says on camera.
yes, exactly. That's the record on the record now. So just tidbits. I mean, I started my blog, Little Black Blog, in 2009, and it's mostly the story of my leading up to that launch in September of 2009, and just sort of learning the ropes of DC. I mean, it's very different. I'm from the South, from Augusta. I went to school in Nashville. You know, DC is.
And what brought you here to DC?
Well, so this is actually the story of my first book, Type A+. I spent all 4 years of my college life planning to be a doctor. And I was going to go to Johns Hopkins, and when I was a second semester senior, I started teaching the MCAT for extra money at Kaplan. And I really realized, just doing this side job, that I loved communicating. I loved taking these stories or these concepts that are very abstruse, esoteric concepts. I mean, the MCAT is some pretty dense material, and teaching them to other students, but sometimes they were other, professionals or much older than me. I was 20 at the time. I was teaching people with families that just came to Kaplan to learn.
You're a communicator.
Yes, and I absolutely loved it. And I never thought I could be a writer. So instead of going to med school, I decided to just pack up my Honda and move in with 5 guys in College Park and try to be a writer in a city where I knew 0 people. I mean, I actually knew 0 people here, but I love politics. And I love the joie de vivre of everyone in the professional scene here. I think it's a little bit more sophisticated than New York and other cities that I would have looked at, and I just kind of knew DC would be my home. And
Well,
I just went with it.
we like hearing that. We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to get back to where your section of the
Things
book.
end up well in this book, or is there a plot twist that we should be waiting for?
Because you're a little bit wild, right?
That's what they tell me. I don't think I'm so wild.
Because you can't remember from the night before?
Here's my personal favorite. Quin, a straight-A Asian American extrovert from Georgia with a penchant for vodka, designer shoes, and older men. Girl.
That's all the pages.
If you think that you may be in this book, and apparently there's a chance that you may be because I didn't know, then you should definitely read Quin's Digfast. This is her second memoir, and it looks like there's more to come from this great local talent.
Thank you so
Quin,
much.
thank you so much for being on with us.
Absolutely.
And as always, we thank you for joining us here on this episode of The District Dish.